In these dire economic times, Mr. Speaker, I've tried to remind my colleagues that when Washington is talking, Michigan is listening. Because again, we are living your nightmare now. Last week, the House passed what I believe to be $1 trillion fiscal obscenity at taxpayers' expense and at the expense of the unemployed's hope. But you need not take my word for it, because again, Michigan was listening. And when I had the chance to talk to a gentleman named Greg from Milford, this is what he said about the supposed stimulus bill. Greg said, quote, "I worked for a company that just lost 700 jobs nationwide, and this stimulus package just amazes me that Congress is trying to push this thing through. The $600 million and everything going on, things that are not going to stimulate the economy. I have enough money to last a month," end quote. At this point, Greg's voice started to break. Try telling your kids at the dinner table that you just lost your job. It's devastating. When you tell your daughter you can't even buy her a school yearbook because you just don't have the money. You got money that you were going to spend on something just to let your kids celebrate something that you did, and now that's going to go to the grocery store. Because you can't do otherwise, or you're going to try to pay your house bill. And again, Greg paused. When we are sending money overseas to pay for abortions for people who are not even in this country, we are not supporting our own people. They need to change it. I'm just one person. They don't listen. If we can have everybody call them and just say, we've got to do something different. We can't throw this money in the garbage. What can we do? End quote. That was Greg's view of a bill that was intended to help him and his struggling family. When Greg was listening to what Washington was saying as it passed the quote-unquote stimulus bill, he heard about billions for national parks, hundreds of millions for artists, smoking cessation programs, and the prevention of sexually transmitted diseases. And when this bill was explained back down in Michigan, here's what Greg heard. He heard that if you are a hiker who is artistic and trying to quit smoking and avoid STDs, the House Democrats' bill was for you. If you were in a manufacturing state and you had just lost your job and you were worried about your family like Greg, you fared far more poorly. I just want Greg to know that we are listening out here. That when the $1 trillion stimulus bill that will not help him came to the House floor, the entire House Republican minority and 11 intrepid Democrats said no. They recognized that this would not help him, it would not help his family, and it would not help any American family that is struggling in straits such as his. That is why House Republicans responded to President Obama's proposal for bipartisanship early on and produced a package that would have created twice the jobs at half the cost. And this is why we will continue to work in as bipartisan fashion as is allowed in this chamber to do what is right for Greg and his family and for all American families in these very dire times. I yield back the balance of my time.